Hello, I am roaringbug, and welcome to my Sims 4 speed build. So, if you want this house, it's on the gallery at roaringbug, all one word, and it's completely base game. And if you like my video, please like, subscribe, or leave me a comment. So, first off, this house is called Mississippi House. And if you saw in the first image of my video before I started talking, you saw the image of my reference picture, and it's a reference picture of a Mississippi house that I saw off of Pinterest. And I really like the house because it's a classic southern style. It's got plenty of porch, and it's got that old southern charm to it that makes it really like romantic and very classy, and I wanted to see if I could recreate it in The Sims. And lately I've been doing a lot of houses that are just base game, and I just wanted to make houses that anyone can just get off the gallery without worrying about packs, because if you play The Sims, you definitely know that the filter system isn't really that good, and it's really hard to find builds in the game that are pack specific to the packs that you own. So I've been making a lot of just base game homes, just so that anyone can find them and download them if you want them. I've got a thing lately where I've been on a roll making very classic looking houses, and it's because I really like Victorian houses, and I think a lot of people like Victorian houses too. They just have a lot of bells and whistles to them that make them charming, like this tower like that you can't access. It's just there for beauty's sake on this build, which I think is kind of a shame that it's not accessible. It's just really hard to make a space for an attic in The Sims because the rooms just have to be a certain height, so you can't make any kind of like slanted walls or anything, unless you want your Sims just to go up into a roof space without any walls, which technically you can do in order to make like a fake room on the top floor of a building, because it won't count the walls, but it'll still consider it sheltered if it's under a roof. But that's a little difficult for gameplay, because then you'd have to play with all walls down. And I know people play the way they want, but most of the time when I play with only half cutaway walls, because I like seeing all the little beautiful things that I did to decorate my house, and I like seeing my Sims walk through the house, but I clearly want to see my Sim, so I like watching them walk inside the house, because The Sims is, it's basically dollhouses, and it's a kind of wish fulfillment that they want houses and spaces that you can't have. I mean, it's like vicarious living, which for me is the appeal of The Sims. It's just making these beautiful things. But when you see me scroll, you'll probably see a couple of my custom content items, and because I've been on a roll making so much of these just base game only houses, I actually haven't even touched some of the CC that I've downloaded. But CC stands for custom content, and if you like custom content, it's free. And if you're worried about downloading the wrong thing, you could always just download the CurseForge app and get custom content that is already screened before it's even posted on CurseForge, which is pretty good. I mean, they have like basically the predominant custom content builders post their stuff on CurseForge. I don't use CurseForge because I don't know what other people's experiences using CurseForge is, but I find that it's actually harder to find my custom content on CurseForge than it is to just go about the usual method of just dragging it and dropping it into my mods folder. That's because when I look at the CurseForge website to see my custom content, it kind of mixes it all together, and it also shuffles it with all of my saves. So at first I was kind of confused because I was seeing all of my saves mixed in together with it, and I wasn't sure if it should be there or if I should delete it or not, and I didn't want to touch anything because I wasn't too sure. And because I'm an avid builder, I have like over 400 uploads, and it's hard for me to remember exactly what it is I have posted. So I that's why I just stopped using it. But the upside is, even if you don't want to use CurseForge to download CC, you can use it just to see what CC is available, and then you can download it directly from a creator's Patreon or Tumblr account, and you could just use it as just a search engine to help you source out what materials you want to add to your game. But let me actually talk about this build. So I tried to make this build yellow, but then I ended up turning it blue. Frankly, there's a lot more options in the color blue than there is in the color yellow. So this kitchen was yellow, but it ended up being blue, and I just used different wallpapers in blue to decorate this house. And this house ended up becoming a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. The 3rd bedroom will be in the attic on the 3rd floor. I made access to the 3rd floor via a ladder. If you wanted to, I suppose you could always add a staircase, but it would be tricky to add a stair in this narrow hallway because of all the doorways leading to the other rooms. But it's doable and it's feasible to do. If it were me, I would probably choose the wall leading to the kitchen and the living room in order to put the stairs, instead of the wall that has the bedrooms, because I think it would look better if the doors leading to the bedrooms were more appropriate, instead of to moving it around just to fit a stair. Oh, that fire poker decorative item I really like. I've been using it in all my builds. And that sheep, that llama, I was like, oh my god, I love it, but it's just so huge. If you download this house, it's gonna look a little bit different, but not by much. I just move a little bit of items in this primary bedroom. The dresser is near the doorway in this video, but I ended up moving it closer towards the bed just so I can move a desk for a computer, because I didn't have any space to put a full desk, so I ended up putting it in the primary bedroom. This 2nd bedroom I just turned into an infant's room, so I just made it just for one infant, but there's plenty of space in this bedroom if you wanted to fit more than just one sim in here. You could fit like 2 if your sim has twins, or like triplets if your sim has like a lot of kids. But like I said, there's an extra bedroom in the attic. So because I don't really know what people's gameplay styles are, Some people just play traditional households, but you know, if you have like a multi-generational household and you have like a grandparent, you know, they can have like a room in, oh, that seems kind of cruel to put a room for a grandparent in the attic. I guess like if you have like a younger sibling, they could probably live in the attic, or if you have like a moody older teenager, they can live in the attic, so they can have like their own space. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what you want to do. It doesn't have to be a bedroom. You can put skill building items if you want in the attic, or you can turn it into the office space if you don't want it in the primary bedroom. And I think there's probably a little bit more space on this roof to make it go out the long way under the roof cover, and it probably won't show, but I wasn't going to like grapple trying to get as much space as I can with this build. I just did it for the looks. It's purely for the looks, just for that southern feeling. So this landscaping that I did, I enclosed it in this planter that I'm drawing out with this low fence. And this method of doing the landscaping isn't something I normally do. I normally just make little sections of little areas of plants, like a little area, little like bunches of flowers here and there, and I just kind of like stack them up. But in this instance, what I ended up doing is I made this very sectioned off area for planters just all around the entire build, and I just put plants in that area, and I just made this really dark terrain paint all around, and I just made a simple pathway directly into the house. And I used the debug catalog in order to get these bushes. These hydrangeums are like in the regular build and buy, but the debug ones are slightly bigger. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they are slightly bigger than the normal ones in the catalog. So I like that they are a little bit bigger because, you know, if I'm going to be honest, I'm not really that crazy about landscaping. So the bigger the foliage is, like the flowers and stuff, the better it is, because it'll cover more ground that way. So I try to make it look manicured and pretty, like a very like structured garden space, because I feel like with all this porch and stuff, it would look very romantic and nice if they had like a very like sectioned off garden space instead of something that was just wild and abundant and everywhere. I really wished I could have put that trash can elsewhere, but I think function-wise, it's good that it's tucked under the porch, especially if you have seasons and it rains, because for some reason it rains a lot when you have seasons. Like, it rains like a ridiculous amount when you have seasons on, and you know, more times than not, your sim is probably gonna like be afraid of a thunderstorm, or maybe they'll be unlucky and they'll get hit by lightning, and then they'll get the day's moodlet. So I mean, there's a really slim chance that your sim could die by getting struck by lightning, but I think they had to get struck by lightning like twice in a row for it to happen. And I don't know what The Sims is like when it comes to the probability of getting struck by lightning twice. But sometimes I end up just buying the trait where they like thunderstorms, because I can't bother with him being afraid of thunderstorms. I'm like, this happens way too frequently for you to be afraid. Oh, and that's my favorite tree. So I just sized it up because I was like, I've got a lot of garden space and I just want to fill up this space with, what I'm doing around the tree, that's my usual method to like do gardening and furnishing the garden. This like clumpy lumpy style that I'm doing with the foliage. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks natural. So I decided, since I have the space, this Mississippi house is gonna have a greenhouse. So I tried to figure out the spacing by putting actual planters in there, because when I do it freestyle, sometimes I don't get the spacing quite right. And you know, I think the look of the greenhouse is pretty good. I know that there is a new, well, fairly new greenhouse kit for you to make prettier looking greenhouses, but you know, frankly, just with base game, you can make a pretty decent looking greenhouse without using a kit just to make a greenhouse. Oh, and what I did is I used a fence just so that you could see the lights are hanging on something. If not, it looks like the lights are hanging on nothing when you put a glass roof on your property, because you're like, oh my god, the glass roof has nothing for these lights to hang off of. And I moved the greenhouse slightly forward just so I could make this tiling look more symmetrical. It's all just so it looks symmetrical. I wanted it to look a little bit different, so I used 2 different kinds of terrain paint, terrain tiles, in order to make it look not all the same matchy everywhere. And this area just said swimming pool, so I just ended up putting a big old swimming pool in this area, and I put some pool lights in. And off to this side, I decided that would probably be a good space to put like some barbecue stuff and outdoor seating. So I used like the little umbrella one because I thought it would match the style of this house. Because the other method I do is sometimes I just put a picnic table, and I put a monkey bar in the back. So for gameplay purposes, it just helps your child sim build motor skills. And now I'm just doing terrain paint, which is my light dusting of dirt everywhere. I don't really do too much for terrain paint because I don't really know what I'm doing. I just do a light dusting of dirt everywhere just so that the house looks like it belongs there. And now I'm just throwing down a bunch of skill building items on this house. So I put down an easel, a chess table, and I think in the front I put a guitar. And I'm just cleaning up the terrain paint because I thought that was a little too heavy in the back. So that's the end of my video. Thank you for watching. Bye.